Welcome to the McSnare Report. I'm Phil, and Season 2 has officially become crowded, chaotic, and somehow automotive. 23 new A-Class Corps just invaded the field. 10 days of standings have completely imploded, and the bubble line is being decided by margins smaller than a stray dust mote. We'll also take a respectful moment to address the departure of Dark Knight's director S02E03 before diving into the fallout in St. Louis. Then, Black Gold fires back at our newsroom, Trey checks in live from Lexington, and a black and white BMW i3 gives the single most honest interview this sport has ever seen. Plus, 30 platform updates delivered faster than a terms of service agreement, and Lexi attempts to navigate 25 tour stops before Geography files a formal grievance. The scores are verified, the map is loaded, the hatchback is taking questions. Let's get to it. Last week, we welcomed 7 new Corps and declared the circuit awake, overbooked, and asking who moved its equipment truck. Apparently, that sounded like an invitation. Since the Episode 2 cutoff, 23 more Corps have entered A-Class. Let's welcome the newest members of Season 2. Joining on Day 12, Blue Devils D from Austin, Texas, under Director Listick, presenting The Welfare Check. Dead Last Corps from Bakersfield, California, under Director McClellan, presenting Passing Grade. Ghosts from Buena Park, California, under Director Casper, presenting Spirit of Airlines. Greencoats from Amherst, Ohio, under Director Ethan DeVore, presenting Elemental. Marching Banana Cheeses from Atascadero, California, under Director Potato Cheese. The Chillbillies from Lubbock, Texas, under Director Chillery Clinton, presenting Billy's Bounce. The Crazy Pink Wigs from Fresno, California, under Director Taba Taba Hornet, presenting Ay Macarena. The Marching Goats from Union City, California, under Director Nora the Goat, presenting The Dragon. And The Purple from Bellflower, California, under Director AP1113, presenting Swirls. Joining on Day 13, Aggressive Geese from Salem, Oregon, under Director EP1147. Boots from Denver, Colorado, under Director Kawaii. Elevation from Belleville, Illinois, under Director J. Simple Zen, presenting The Power of Verve. Gilded Rams from Denver, Colorado, under Director Kayla Kaur, presenting A Plea for Change. Meow Arts from Atascadero, California, under Director IDK Man, presenting Cat Out of the Bag. The Light with the Dark from Denver, Colorado, under Director Deep Blue. And The Strolling Celery from Albuquerque, New Mexico, under Director Carrot Fries. Joining on Day 14, Blue Knights from Arkadelphia, Arkansas, under Director Papa Hanna, presenting Dilly Dallies. Goon Lagoon from Detroit, Michigan, under Director Kaigski, presenting W Shows. Queen City Regiment from Charlotte, North Carolina, under Director MDA 4th. The Red Salamanders from Albuquerque, New Mexico, under Director Elam Drum Corps, presenting Rocks. And the Waco Worms from Waco, Texas, under Director Cora Event Crean, presenting Seek and Find. Finally, joining on Day 17, Hetairoi Riders from Adrian, Michigan, under Director Yuki Naga, presenting Vengeance. And Spokane Velocity from Spokane, Washington, under Director On the Move, presenting Nautical Fantasy. 23 Corps, 23 directors, 17 announced productions, 6 operations still keeping the show title department in suspense, and an A-Class field that now requires multiple pages just to fit on television. Welcome to the League. We are very glad you are here. "23 new A-Class Corps entering the league isn't a simple roster update. It's a localized competitive hurricane. They've materialized right in the middle of a 10-day stretch where leads have vanished overnight, defending champions have been dragged down the board, and Dragon Corps has apparently declared a personal blood feud with anyone possessing a uniform and a pulse. This is the verified score order through Day 17, and this field is no longer waiting around for storylines. It has them. At the summit of Open Class, Morensic Minutemen have officially taken control with a 66.77. Morensic is the undisputed fan favorite, relentlessly kind, genuinely welcoming, and almost impossible to dislike. Then the uniforms go on, and the sweetest Corps in the league transforms into an absolute wrecking ball. The Fogwalkers sit second at 63.93. Dragon Corps stands third at 62.60, loudly, aggressively, and presumably already drafting a press release explaining why the current standings are merely a temporary scheduling error. Dragon Corps doesn't need a designated rival. Dragon Corps considers the entire continent a designated rival. Only 1.33 points separate the Fogwalkers from Dragon Corps. Behind them, Golden Wave Corps has surged to 61.75, and Black Gold has exploded into 6th at 61.34. From Dragon Corps in 3rd down to Black Gold in 6th, the entire pressure stack is squeezed inside just 1.26 points. 1.26. 4 cores, 0 room for error. Nobody in that group can afford a single cracked note or a wide interval without tumbling down the standings. Black Gold's latest score jumped by 7.5 points, the loudest warning shot in the entire tier. We'll return to Lexington later in the episode because something fundamental shifted inside Black Gold's production. It may have been design, it may have been execution, it may have been the hatchback. And lurking just outside that dogfight is altitude. The defending gold medalist currently sits 7th at 58.34, but their latest score surged by more than 2 full points. Meanwhile, Altitude's director has been orchestrating the recruitment effort behind this massive A-class expansion. So, while Altitude fights to defend its own legacy, its director is actively arming the mob of cores coming after them. The champion may be down the board, but the champion is definitely not out, and neither is its influence. Now the schedule starts forcing the issue. Thursday at the White River Invitational in Carmel, the Fogwalkers get the first move, closing the show with a chance to shave down Morensik's 2.84-point lead. Then, Sunday night at the Morensic Major in Austin, our 2 leaders finally lock horns on the exact same field. Morensic Minutemen versus the Fogwalkers. First against second. The beloved host against the challenger trying to take away its crown. Same field, same panel. No score order caveats. Dragon Corps will not be in attendance, which will, of course, do absolutely nothing to stop Dragon Corps from explaining afterward how they would have won the show. And then there is A-Class. 34 cores now crowd this board. If you spend any time on Discord, these cores already have distinct, highly opinionated voices. They're in the press room, trading banter, celebrating victories, and turning a grid of decimal points into an actual living season. A rivalry just hits different when the directors behind it keep showing up to trade jabs. Spirit of the Raiders has become the first A-class corps to shatter the 60-point barrier, leading the pack at 60.82. They're setting the pace on the field while remaining one of the loudest voices off it. The Gigglers sit exactly 2 points behind at 58.82. Then come the Steelmen at 56.83, another 1.99 back. It's an almost perfectly constructed 3-core staircase. Spirit of the Raiders holds the top step. The Gigglers get the first chance to strike Thursday in Carmel, and then the Steelmen take the field Sunday in Austin with an opportunity to collapse the whole stairwell. The nastiest direct fight in Carmel belongs to 2 corps whose directors have already helped give this season its flavor. Shadow Regiment holds 5th at 55.27. White River Regiment sits 6th at 54.94. 33 hundredths separate them. They meet on White River's home turf at White River's show, right before White River takes the field for the home crowd encore. Shadow Regiment brings the higher score. White River owns the building. That isn't just a matchup, that's an argument waiting to happen in the parking lot. Further down, 906 Red Stars sit 8th at 52.84 after launching their latest score up by 4.81 points. They're knocking on the door of the upper tier, but hold just a 0.78-point buffer over Queen City Regiment. Another surge pulls 906 into the conversation. One sloppy rehearsal drops them straight back into the playground brawl. Atomic City Legion is navigating an even tighter corridor. They stand 12th at 49.47. Blue Knights are just 0.42 ahead. Spirit of Valhalla is only 0.24 behind. 66 hundredths covers that entire 3-core cluster. On the A-class fault line, one good run gains you 3 spots. One ticked release costs you the neighborhood. And down in Austin, we have a battle separated by something even smaller, the Marching Goats, 41.38, the Crazy Pink Wigs, 41.35, 0.03 of a point. That's not a competitive gap. That is a rounding error wearing a shako. They throw down Sunday at the Morensic Major, where a single, slightly dirty flag feature could flip the entire hierarchy. Finally, keep your eyes on Gulf Knights. Their last verified score hit all the way back on day 7. Now they're registered for Carmel, Austin, and Detroit. 3 straight director-hosted shows after 10 days completely off the grid. While the rest of A-Class was scrambling, climbing, and multiplying, Gulf Knights remained frozen in carbonite at 36.21. Now they return to find out how much the ground has shifted beneath their feet. By Monday in Detroit, the field compresses to just 2 corps, Gulf Knights and Shadow Regiment. 2 corps, 1 head-to-head measuring stick, nowhere to hide. Spirit of the Raiders, the Steelmen, Shadow Regiment, White River Regiment, 906 Red Stars, Atomic City Legion. These aren't just logos occupying slots on a graphic. Their directors are actively building the culture, the drama, and the community that makes this league run. Now, the scores have given all that talk actual stakes. Note, the complete standings will remain on screen for viewers who would like to pause, zoom, calculate private regression models, and become briefly unavailable to their families. That's where the field stands tonight. Morensic has the lead, the Fogwalkers have the next move, Dragon Corps has an opinion, Altitude has a title to defend, and A-Class has gotten tight enough that 3300ths can start a rivalry, and 300ths can settle one. But before we continue tonight, there is one name on these boards that requires a very different kind of conversation. Before we move on, we need to say something about Dark Knights and their former director, Aaron0316. Aaron deleted his marching.art account and left the community Discord. We do not know why, and we are not going to guess. Several members of this community have known Aaron online for a very long time. They are surprised, they are confused, and they are genuinely concerned about their friend. That deserves to be taken seriously. We have been tongue-in-cheek about the strange situation his departure created on the site. Dark Knights continuing through the season with no visible director, and a director-hosted event still carrying the name of someone whose account no longer existed. The jokes were about that unusual site behavior. They were not about Aaron, and they were not about the people who care about him. Around here, humor is often how we handle uncomfortable situations, but our intention does not determine how that humor lands. We cannot control another person's feelings, choices, or response. We can control whether we listen. We can control whether we avoid speculation, and we can adjust when something lands differently than we intended. We sincerely wish Aaron well. With that said, the competition in St. Louis did take place, and the scoreboard did not pause. At marching.art St. Louis County, the Fogwalkers stunned the open class field with a 63.94, a 6.78 increase from their previous verified score. Dark Knights placed second at 62.52. Shadow Regiment led A-Class with a 55.27. Elevation followed at 54.65, with Queen City Regiment third at 50.90. Atomic City Legion, Dead Last Corps, Spirit of Valhalla, and the Strolling Celery completed the verified A-Class field. While we didn't catch any Podium corps on the field in St. Louis on Monday, we did catch a glimpse of one of our fantasy corps performing an exhibition. Let's take a look.
Gather around if you want to hear the story of an engineer. Casey Jones is around with his skill and grip on mighty fame. He pulled in the Memphis shark that beat down a dog time, and the engineer called in sick as Casey to do a double train. Casey smells so feeling fine with the right back, check the later line. These bridges, hills look fine, got a head of steam and a head of time. Through South Memphis on the fly, Casey Jones has fire in your eyes. Switch the news from the engine's home, the man I thought it was Casey Jones. The man I thought it was Casey Jones. The engine rocked, the driver called, the fireman hollered, save my soul, Casey Jones will make it through, she's steaming great and riding true. Just a mile from the place, the big headlights hit him in the face. Casey shouted, jump for your life, give luck to my kids, say bye to my wife. Just before Casey died, he said, well, I'd like to ride on Casey Noble Grand on tracks of the legendary railroad man, on tracks of the legendary railroad man.
Now riding right in St. Louis, Missouri, Spartan Special. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the field from Nashville, Tennessee, McSnare.
Last week, we questioned whether last season's silver medalist had become permanently trapped around the 50-point line. Black Gold's administration answered us exactly 71 minutes later, not with a complaint, with a counter-argument, a revised tour schedule, and a BMW. The organization acknowledged that their early scores were clustered and that the production wasn't yet where the staff expects it to be. But Black Gold firmly rejected one word: stagnating. They prefer another: building. To prove it, after their home show in Lexington, Black Gold is parking the buses in Kentucky and withdrawing from 2 upcoming podium appearances, the White River Invitational and the marching.art Midwest Championships. They plan to return on day 23 in Murray before kicking off their Texas tour. Black Gold says those off days will be used for rest, recovery, and preparation for the next phase of the season. That is a plan. Whether the Black Gold Bluegrass Base Camp, a Kentucky kin retreat, works is a question for the scoreboard and, potentially, the Department of Motor Vehicles. Earlier in Lexington, before the scores were even posted, Trey investigated the newest and heaviest production element in Black Gold's show. Trey?
I'm out here on the asphalt, and I am currently chilling with Poe. Poe is a black and white 2015 BMW i3 and, against all known laws of the marching arts, an active performing member of Black Gold's field production. Poe, dude, stoked you could carve out a few minutes for us between charging cycles. Absolute professional. Totally dialed in. First question, what exactly is your vibe out there? What are you bringing to the field? Visual clarity, seamless transitions, aggressively wiping away the bad energy. I dig it. I completely see the vision. Now, the McSnare press roll recently described Black Gold's early season as lackluster. The administration issued a pretty heavy rebuttal. As a core cast member, do you have anything to add? Whoa, okay. Heavy. Honestly, that is the most unfiltered statement we have received from this organization all week. The hatchback has spoken. Final question, my guy. Does Black Gold have anything to say to the judges under the lights tonight? 2 flashes. One for general effect, one for pure, unadulterated range anxiety. Poe, you are an absolute legend. Thank you for your time, your energy, and 0 carbon emissions. Phil, I'm tossing it back to you before Poe parallel parks on my foot. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Trey, and thank you, Poe, for providing more direct answers than most competitive organizations. That interview happened before Black Gold took the field. Now we have the numbers. Marcus?
Phil, it physically pains me to admit when an administration is right, but Black Gold brought the receipts to Lexington. They dropped a 61.34, second only to the Fogwalkers at 63.93. That is a 7.5-point explosion over Black Gold's previous verified score. And the movement was not isolated to a single judge having a generous evening. General effect surged from 21.73 to an even 25.00, an increase of 3.27. Visual rose by 1.99. Music jumped by more than 2 points. Now, as a professional, I am legally obligated to remind you that correlation is not causation. Can we prove that Poe caused any of this? No, but when a 2015 electric hatchback rolls onto the 50-yard line and general effect and visual magically inflate by a combined 5.26 points, I am perfectly willing to issue the vehicle a staff credential. Meanwhile, somewhere in the distance, Southern Sound's visual staff is frantically browsing used car listings. Their visual program is currently crawling at a 13.27. The problem is that their horn line is blasting out a 17.27 in music. That is a cavernous 4-point gap between what the audience is hearing and the tragedy the judges are seeing. Perhaps Southern Sound doesn't need a functioning electric vehicle. Perhaps they just need a rusted-out chassis up on cinder blocks near the back sideline, with 3 missing tires and crabgrass growing through the engine compartment. Call it environmental storytelling. Call it Appalachian staging. Just make sure the judges can read the license plate from the press box. As for Black Gold, the narrative has officially shifted. They are no longer asking us to blindly trust their pacing. They just delivered their largest scoring move of the season. Poe may have made a difference. Poe may have made absolutely no difference at all. But the car appeared, the numbers rose, and now every future Black Gold recap is going to require an automotive disclosure. Back to you, Phil.
We called it stagnating. Black Gold called it building. After Lexington, the scoreboard is finally using their vocabulary, and the hatchback remains undefeated in media relations. Coming up, a message from our legal department, and they have asked us to read it very, very quickly. Apparently, marching.art released 30 platform updates since our last episode, and we have been advised that the phrase, "we'll put them in the description," does not satisfy our disclosure obligations. Marcus Sterling has graciously agreed to read every single update. Marcus, you have approximately 2 minutes.
I want the record to reflect that I did not agree to this. That feels retaliatory. Begin the timer. The following are platform updates only. They do not establish attendance, scores, standings, competitive impact, or whether placing a German hatchback on the field constitutes sound design. Your Core's press releases now post directly to a dedicated Discord channel, separate from newsroom coverage. Press releases also have their own path to instant publishing. Your first releases receive administrative review. After 3 approvals, future releases may publish immediately. Show schedules now display the complete registered running order, fantasy and podium fields, attendee rosters, encores, and the cores performing right now. Your own show day now leads the dashboard with the event, location, start time, field time, and a live on-field countdown. Podium now has cosmetic encores after scores. They do not score, affect standings, or provide additional competitive credit. Only glory. System scheduled shows now receive complete timed running orders instead of merely displaying attendee lists. The show day strip now opens the correct event's running order and only announces that you are the encore when you are actually the encore at that particular show. The new Uniform Studio lets you design your core live with interchangeable traditional and contemporary uniform pieces, recolorable elements, 11 starting presets, a wardrobe of up to 24 designs, and a press box distance preview. The Uniform Studio now scrolls properly on phones, because uniforms below the first screen are considerably more useful when you can actually reach them. Podium directors now earn achievements and prestige titles, receive a podium-specific quick start, and get a season-ending recap. Your season can now be viewed as a complete recap ledger with every scored appearance, caption breakdown, placement, season best, average, and medal tally. First for Podium, then extended to Fantasy. Podium division scores now appear in the live scrolling ticker alongside the Fantasy classes. The nightly Podium report now reads like an actual sports column, with real story-driven headlines, caption leaders, movers, close calls, and absolutely no invented numbers. The Podium lineup button now opens an actual lineup chooser instead of serving as a decorative rectangle. Stranded Podium airfare bookings no longer vanish quietly when a show moves or disappears. Directors can now see the booking and recover their committed core coin. Schedule cards and generated articles now use real Showtime weather, refreshed before the event. After briefly disappearing, the weather icon and temperature are back on schedule cards. The signed-in header is now consistent across public and game pages, with a calmer mobile layout and fewer overflow problems. Established directors using a fresh phone, cleared storage, or private browsing are no longer incorrectly thrown back into onboarding. Navigation is clearer. Game destinations live under Explore. Help contains actual help. Daily destinations lead to navigation, and the desktop score ticker can finally be collapsed. Core history now reads properly on mobile and no longer duplicates seasons. Daily logins now credit on the correct day across time zones. Season experience points have been rebalanced to pace progression across the entire season instead of reaching the summit B. Deleting an account now anonymizes the director, frees reserved core names, and removes future show registrations. Core names are now reserved uniquely across Fantasy and Podium, preventing both games from accidentally fielding the exact same organization. The season recap ledger now displays the show's actual location instead of the core's home city. Regional championships now go to the correct branded major events in Fantasy and Podium, and incorrectly awarded regional trophies were corrected. Open class and A-class champions are now determined by their own Day 46 finals instead of their later placement in the World Championship bracket. The Podium fan favorite winner now receives a distinct pink heart in the profile trophy case, separate from competitive medals. 6 new core card themes have entered the shop: Fogwalker Teal, Evergreen, Slate Graphite, Amethyst, Rose Quartz, and Glacier. All 30 updates have now been disclosed.
Marcus, did you breathe at any point during that?
Not in a legally actionable manner.
Excellent. Coming up, Lexi has the week ahead. I have asked her to name every city individually as it appears on the map. She has already filed an objection. Lexi, the map is loaded. This time, please present the schedule correctly. Every city, one at a time, precisely as it illuminates.
Phil, no one wants to sit through that. The shows matter. The cities matter. But this is all fake, and we do not need to solemnly reenact the invention of geography.
Every city, Lexi.
Fine. If anyone experiences dizziness, please consult Marcus. He is apparently legal now. Thursday, Day 19. Percussion on the Pearl in Muscatine, thunder in the Ruby Mountains in Elko, drums across the Smokies in Knoxville, and the director-hosted White River Invitational 1 in Carmel. Friday, Day 20. Drums across the river region in Millbrook, the Cherryland marching.art classic in Traverse City, West Coast Showdown in Elk Grove, and the director-hosted Drums on the Back Bay in Biloxi. Saturday, Day 21. Drum Corps Grand Prix at the confidently specific, unknown location. Marching.art Midwest Championships No. 2 in DeKalb, and Trumpets in July in Southbridge. Sunday, Day 22. Santa Ana Spectacular in Santa Ana, Fiesta de Musica in Manchester, Canadian Nationals in Mississauga, and the director-hosted Morensic Major in Austin. Slowing down just enough to make it count. That Austin lineup brings Morensic Minutemen and the Fogwalkers onto the exact same field, with the Steelmen, Elevation, Southern Sound, and several rapidly developing A-class corps crowding the card. Carmel gives the Fogwalkers the first move. Austin gives Morensic the answer. Monday, Day 23. Drums between the rivers in Murray, drums across Kansas in Wichita, drums along the Sandias in Albuquerque, and the director-hosted Competition of Unspecified Identity in Detroit. Tuesday, Day 24. Marching.art Central Oklahoma in Edmond, Marching.art Broken Arrow in Broken Arrow, helpfully, and music on the move in Bentonville. Wednesday, day 25. The visible schedule closes with Thunder in the Desert in Midland, marching.art West Texas in Canyon, and Drums Across Cajun Field in Lafayette. 25 visible scheduled events, 4 director-hosted shows, 7 days, 1 deeply overqualified map. And for the record, the ghost podium bands from last week remain invisible. And following tonight's broadcast, we are officially retiring all ghost-related commentary before Human Resources remembers we exist.
You named every city.
And civilization somehow survived without 25 individual dissolves.
The map department had plans.
The map department needs boundaries.
Efficient, accurate, and only mildly hostile. We'll be right back to close the show. Thank you, Lexi, and to the map department. Your work was seen. Your work mattered. We will mourn the individual dissolves in private. 23 new A-class cores just crashed the field. The standings collapsed into absolute chaos. Black Gold silenced its critics. Marcus miraculously survived 30 consecutive platform updates, and a German hatchback delivered the most candid media availability of the season. But underneath all the spreadsheets and vehicular staging, this community keeps growing because you keep competing, creating, hosting shows, and giving one another a reason to log in and show up. Have a safe week, have a great show, and be good to each other out there. For Lexi, Marcus, Trey, Poe the BMW, and everyone behind the scenes, I'm Phil McSnare. This has been the McSnare Report. Until next Wednesday, we'll see you on the 50.